Hello, my stamping friends. It is Tammy Nelson with Stamp and Scrap Tammy. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and what I'm here today to show you is my Fall Fest 2021 cards. So this video serves a couple purposes. First and foremost, it is for those that purchased Fall Fest or attended our in-person Fall Fest this past weekend. So I'm going to go step by step through each one of the cards we created. I'm going to make one of them. Those that got the packets, you're getting 2 of each cards for a total of 20 cards were included in Fall Fest 2021. And for those of you just watching along that did not participate in Fall Fest, maybe you just stumbled upon the video, this is my Fall Fest, and then upcoming in March of 2022 will be Spring Fest. It will be ran very similar to the Fall Fest event as well. So if you've been kind of interested in taking part in one of the Stamp and Scrap events, whether it be virtually or in person, this is going to give you a really good idea of what that's all about. So I just wanted to say hello here before we get right down to work, and then I'll show you what's in the kit. We'll go through each one of the cards, and there is 10 of them. So you may need to pause, take a break, go grab a snack. If you are creating right along with me, again, I'm just making one. You're going to make 2. So you might need a few breaks too. So stick with me. I'm going to do the very best I can to have this run along pretty smoothly, but hopefully I don't need to take any breaks. But if I do, I will certainly hop right back in and get back to the making. But you know, just like when you attend an in-person event in my studio, I may have to run and grab something, or might be missing a piece and have to do some improvising, but I've got the original sample to share with you, and we'll just do the best we can. All right, so welcome everybody. Let's get down to the work surface here. I'm gonna flip my camera down. Actually, no, I'm not gonna flip the camera down here just yet. This is what I'm gonna start with. I hope my name tag's in there. So everybody that attended, they got a nice gift bag that had their name tag on it. I'll show you that. I tucked it in the bag. We got some door prizes and a little gift to start. Of course, we did have an order special as well for the day of the event. And now I am extending an order special for everybody, not even just the Fall Festers, because we are the very end of September when this video is happening. We are in the last day of September, which means our celebration for Stampin' Up! Ends today. But have I got a deal for you? Because you're likely watching this October 1st and you might see something on today's video and go, shoot, I missed out on that. Or now I have to have that. So I am going to extend celebration, of course, while my supplies last, because when I do these events, I did accumulate some extra celebration things. So I'm going to extend celebration for all of you through October or while supplies last. So if you're watching this, well, you probably are watching this replay on YouTube. Right in the comments, the very first comment is a link to ordering. And the Fall Festers, you have a link within the email as well. If there's anything that maybe, you know, strikes your eye that you're thinking, gosh, I really wish I would have ordered that, you can do that. Take advantage of the order special of extended celebration. I will contact you after your order's placed to see what you would like for your celebration pick. All right, so let's take a look here. Again, I'm Stamp and Scrap with Tammy. My name is Tammy Nelson. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome to you. So again, Fall Fest recap here. Let me move my name out of the way. So Fall Fest, oh my, I don't have card, oh here, card number 1 and 2 are mixed up. Of course, I tell you I'm organized and look at me. All right, so first off, let's find that name tag. Well, maybe it's not here after all. We'll have to look for that. I bet it's still in the bag. It certainly is still in my bag. All right, so everybody, including the to-go pack, has got this beautiful name tag. I love to hang these up on like my little bulletin board that has little treasures on it in my craft space. These were created by my good friend Gail Connolly. She is from Valley Stamper. If you would like to check her out, she does have a Facebook page. And next, the cards and the free embellishment. So everybody got the brushed metallic adhesive back dots. We're using them on almost every project today. And this was from the host set. This is still available through October from me as well. This will be one of the options for a celebration pick while supplies last. I have about 3 of these available. So we started with Hope Your Day is fantabulastic. I'm not even sure if that is a real word or if I'm saying that right. Fabulous and fantastic all in one. So I do hope your day is fabulous and fantastic as well. So then we have the cards. Each card is labeled with what card number it is. Now, those that have the Fall Fest packet in your hands, in the pictures as well that were sent in the email, it does also have the card number. So you should be able to stay relatively organized. I say relative because you never know what happens once you start crafting in the craft room. So we have got 10 designs here. I'm going to move this out of the way. And let's get started with card number 1. This particular kit had a prize patrol winner, and they would have gotten some dimensionals today in their kit. The prizes did range from paper pumpkin kits to stamp sets, designer series paper. So they were all like $5 to $15 prize patrols that we did some drawings for. Okay, so let's get started. And many of these cards are case cards that I received from friends. That is how I do some of my big events. My day-to-day classes, the regular classes, I typically design those all on my own. But for a big event like this, I love to pull from swap cards that my friends have sent me. Or this one wasn't even a swap card. My friend Brenda Nelson sent me this one in the mail, and I almost always use her cards again. So if you don't know, Brenda is Stampin' in My Stretchy Pants is what she goes by. She is in Canada. She's an artist and designer as well, so I always get fabulous cards from her. So let's start. I've got Bumblebee, and I'll share tips and tricks along the way of how I did this. I've got some Bumblebee cardstock. I don't need this quite yet. And I embossed it with this lovely polka dot embossing folder. And I got some basic white here. So let's just get started. A few tools that I have out here. I've got my adhesive. I've got Stamp and Seal. I've got my liquid glue. Glue dots and dimensionals are the main ones that I believe I'm going to be using today. And I'm going to just take a look at here kind of what I can eliminate right off the top here. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this Bumblebee to the base because that's not going to affect anything else that I'm doing here. Just so I don't start losing parts, which I'll pretty likely do anyways as we go here. So I've just got some twine in this beautiful metallic kind of gold. And then this is the host paper from the annual catalog. Isn't that pretty? And let me see here. Look at this piece here. Let me tell you what I did here. Do you see this? This little scallop edging? That scallop edging came from the Color Contour dies. I thought that was so clever. There are some other dies that do that scalloping, but they take, a little longer to cut out, a little more time consuming. So I decided, gosh, how can I do this and make it a little faster? So the Color Contour dies, they, of course, they're rectangles that have the scallop on them. And there are 4 sides to every, rectangle. So I just cut out the 4 sides, and that's what I'm using for the scallop edging. So if you're just kind of wondering, gosh, where did that come from? That's exactly where that came from. Color Contour dies. And so do you see, I just put some adhesive on there. I'm going to tuck that on there, and then that's going to have my scallop there. Okay, pretty simple. And then this label, let me see, bring out my stamps that I'm going to use. And I was just looking around to see if I could tell you where that came from. Well, it'll be on the supply list. Oh, of course, I'm not remembering what stamp set this is from. If you're watching along, feel free to answer me in the comments to any of the questions that I'm asking. Because right now, you know what? This isn't a live video. This is recorded. I am making it as a live video, so I will not be going back to edit. So what happens is what's going to just end up being in the video. So as you're watching along, feel free to reply to me in the comments. That would be great. I will go back and reply to everybody. And so I've got this flower here, and I'm going to just stamp it. So this is why I need some scratch paper, because if you see my sample here, I'm going to stamp it just a few times. So every card that I make is going to be just a little different. And so now if you don't have this stamp set, you're going to be just fine. Just use something very similar. That I'm kind of looking around here to see if I can find it, but I borrowed this one too from a friend because I didn't have it. I could not believe that I didn't have it. But it'll probably show up here. As I eliminate stuff off of the desk, it'll likely show up. That's usually how this works. And you see me? I'm trying to find it, but okay, stop thinking about it, right? And I'm going to do it one more time. See, these larger ones, I do like to set them down and ink them up from the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, just so those flowers are sneaking out of the top. I'm going to use the Thinking of You. And you know what? I bet I could find this. So again, this is just like you're here. I get sidetracked like there is no tomorrow all the time. There is no like steady creating. So I'm going to try to not keep you too long, but you know, it's going to drive me crazy if I can't find this for you. I promise I do have most of the stamp set sitting out here. So we're not going to have this issue with every single one. Meadow. Let's take a look here. So this is the one that I'm using here. Quiet Metal Bundle. Just look at that. And that is where this label came from too. I'm using that on the card number 2 as well. So Quiet Metal Bundle. Now, if you got the Fall Fest kit, you know, just disregard my chatting. You're going to, if I take this long on every card, you are going to have no problem completing both of your cards in the time that I am creating one. Now, the in-person people that came to stamp with me in person last Saturday, so I am in North Mankato, Minnesota, or well, our event was in Mankato, Minnesota. So we are about an hour and a half south of Minneapolis. So if you're, you know, not from the area and you're wondering where we are located, that is where we are located at. And so we held the live event at our local historical society. Oh, they have the most beautiful room. So if you are from the Mankato area and you want to join us, we would love that. We're going to do it there in the spring too. It's our first time at that location. Or you know what? If you're just needing a place for a nice event, oh, the Historic Society, just beautiful rooms. But anyway, so the ladies that stamped in person, I guess I shouldn't feel like I have to rush too much. They were there from 10 in the morning, and then we ended it at 4. Now, of course, some were done at 2, some were done at 3. So we had all kinds of stampers that attended with us. Okay, so that is all of our stamping for card number 1. So we just have to finish assembly. And let's go ahead. I'm going to put this one right onto the paper, right in the center. And then same with this one. And then we'll put our sentiment up on some dimensionals. And what I'm going to do right now is put on the ribbon behind this. So I have 2 paper snips here today. I have one that is specifically for ribbon. And then I'm hoping that I have another one for paper if I need to trim any paper down. I grabbed one and I see it. It is just sitting right to the left of me. I'll have to bring that out. And so what I'm going to do first is put this gold down. I'm going to just put it just kind of a little crisscross there. You'll notice on today's cards, there is no like real bows. I used a lot of ribbon, but there was no actual bows. So those that don't like to tie bows, you will be very grateful for the designs that I came up with for you today. I'm going to use 2 glue dots. So again, glue dots, whatever your main adhesive you prefer to use, whether it be the liquid glue or the Stamp and Seal, is going to be just fine for you today. We're going to need one more glue dot. I'm going to stick that right in the center. Okay, and that's where I'm going to put my twine, my baker's twine, or linen thread, I think is what it's called now. I'm just going to wrap this around about 3 times. So in your kit, you do have more than enough to be generous. Tie it around a few more times. So it just needs, this piece of twine just needs to make it for you for 2 cards. And then I'm just going to twist it. You see that? So I have it in like a circle. I'm going to just give it a little twist and put it down into place and put this label now right over the top with some dimensionals. I'm going to pull the dimensionals out from my lovely belly banded kit here. I do have some mini ones, and here are some regular size ones. I'm going to try not to, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this belly band, but I'm sure I can find something. I think for now I'll set it right to the left of me, and it's going to make sure I have a fabulous and fantastic stamping experience with you all today. And I am going to open these so they're ready to use as well. So let's just put some dimensionals, 1 on each side. I'm not going to put any in the middle because I want to make sure it makes clearance over the top of my ribbons, and it's just really not necessary. So let's go ahead and stick that down. Add some of these beautiful brush metallic dots. It's going to get really fun here. And let's see, about card number 6 or 7, we are going to color those. So that completes card number 1. cased from Brenda Nelson from Canada. Stampin' in My Stretchy Pants is her name. I believe that's how she goes by on her blog. But feel free to look her up. She does a fabulous job. Now I do have my next card. This one is also a case card from Sherry Brentiner, is I believe how you say that. She's from Invergrove Heights, Minnesota. And so I take part in a leaders swap through demonstrators that are from Minnesota. So that is where some of these are coming from. And it looks like I need to get the label. So I use the label die from that Meadow stamp set. And it's still tucked in my envelope here. So let me get that out. I kind of separated them out because there's 2 cards again in each one of these envelopes. And I thought it was only necessary to keep you all here to make one of each. All right, so I have got my basic white. We'll get that folded in already for us. And I should probably show you the card that we're making. So if you want to work ahead, if I'm just going too turtle-like slow for you. And hey, speaking of turtle, if you have been waiting for that turtle punch to come back in stock with Stampin' Up, it's back. The turtle punch is back. So I didn't use it in the cards today. I am doing a class in October. It's our birthday club class in October 2021, where I'm using the turtle. So I'm pretty excited about that it's all back. I've been kind of just sitting tight waiting. So now I've got the Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper, a nice little sliver of that. I've got crumb cake for my background. Now I am not doing measurements right now for the cards. If you got the kit, of course you have them, so you can just measure it up if you want to make duplicates. And if you're just watching along and just really interested, the whole purpose of today's video is just to really give you a good idea what Fall Fest is about, give you some ideas. Now I'm leaving the cards up for quite some time. You are welcome to recreate them, take a screenshot, and do what you have to do to make them, but I'm not doing the full, instructions with measurements and all of that. But they're just beautiful, beautiful designs and layouts today. And then I've got the script embossed folder. Everything is pre-embossed for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And I'm just leaving about 1/4 of an inch. Do you see this? So this little strip here, I put that on first. Now I'm going to layer this over the top of it. So it's gonna overlap just a little tiny bit. I'm not going to adhere this just yet. I'm going to go ahead and stamp here. I have got my Harvest Meadow stamp set is what I'm using. I'm going to use this a couple times. And I'm dropping things. Perfect fall stamp set. Nature's Harvest. I believe the bundle is called Harvest Meadow. Just have to brush out of the way what I just dropped. Okay, and I'm using soft suede ink here today. I'm going to stamp my inside as well because I really like this inside sentiment. And let's go ahead and open up our ink pad. Now, if you don't have all these ink colors, now soft suede, of course, is beautiful, but you know what also works for this? Crumb cake, early espresso, really if you have a Memento black, so you can really make these cards work with other supplies other than what I'm using. Even here, all of these supplies are cut for you. What you could do is, if you don't have the stamp set and, maybe this one isn't in your wheelhouse right now to get, but you have another sentiment that would fit there, just use something else. You can make this a birthday card. You can make this a sympathy card. These are really great all-around ideas for all occasion cards. Look at that. A reminder to never forget how much you mean to me and so many others. I mean, don't we all have somebody we can give a card like that? And how about brightening somebody's day with a lovely sentiment like that? And I'm going to leave my espresso out because I will need that again, but the rest I can set aside. Okay, so now we are almost ready to get this together here. And so I'm going to bring in a silicone craft sheet. This is what I like when I'm doing some really intricate die cuts to put adhesive on. Now you could, if you're doing this on your own, it would be really handy to put this on adhesive sheets. But I will tell you that adhesive sheets, the reason I don't use them for big classes like this is they don't travel extremely well, like to stick all this in packets. Sometimes the edges will come up a little bit. And that would not be good to have things stick together. But if you're creating at home and you're just making a few, or you're going to be putting them together right away, adhesive sheets are definitely the way to go. This is the second way to go. All right, so I have got this in soft suede. And then I have the other one. Now this one, wow, stunner, right? This was the bedazzling paper. This sold out a few weeks ago, but guess what? I already had these all cut out for you. So we went with it. I wasn't gonna change. They're just so pretty. I wanted to pass them along to my fall festers. Okay, now I have some gold trim. These come in a combo pack, gold and silver. See, I have some very small pieces here, but that's all we need. All I'm gonna do is, see, I just looped it around. I'm gonna put it through the largest loop. And then what I'm gonna do is like so. So loop and then go through the front with the whole loop and then just tuck these little tails into there, okay? Now, if you don't wanna do that, you could definitely skip that part and just adhere this too. But I do like what this adds to the card. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then I'm going to bring in the one adhesive that I use that is not a Stampin' Up! Adhesive, and that is just regular tape on my tape dispenser. And I'm going to use that a couple times today. So now I'm going to put this, not in the center, it's down from the center, and loop it around here. Hold it into place. If you don't have regular tape, most of us do, but if you happen to not have regular tape, just put a, oopsie, now I can put another piece right over the top. If you don't have regular tape, what you could do is just put a glue dot. A glue dot or something like that would work too. But this just seems to hold it nice and secure. Let me move that out of the way. And then we will go ahead and put it on the base and add some more of our metallic dots, and that'll complete card number 2. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, just stunning. So the card swap that I got most of these from, the ones that I cased, was a card swap I took part in June. So my wheels were already turning back in June when I received my card swaps in the mail of which ones I wanted to share with all of you. Because, you know, these people that make the card swaps, including myself, we put a lot of time and effort into them. And my goodness, it is such a great thing when we can share them with each other. So again, this is a card created originally by Sherry Bretninger from Invergrove Heights, Minnesota. All right, and so I do have to share with you one little thing. Look at how organized I was at the live event. I even put the labels on the back. So these cards are gonna have the labels on the back. So I'm gonna have to do a little prize patrol to give all those cards away. But then somebody could either cut that down or just have them for a design. So make sure to follow my Stampin' Scrap Tammy Facebook page, follow me on YouTube, and then, you know, upcoming in the next month or so, I'll have to be giving those cards away to somebody. All right, next, this beautiful card, also a case card. From Lisa Schmidt. So also the same card swap that I took part in. And here's what I came up with. This is very similar to hers. I changed it just ever so slightly. But this one is just adorable. And this is using one of the, oh gosh, this was just in my hands too. So we're going to have to look up this stamp set as well. My goodness, Tammy. All right, so let's look this up because I must have carried them in the other room or something. Who knows? So let's look this bundle up because it's just beautiful. So if you don't already have some pumpkin dies in your collection or some fall dies, this is a really nice one to have. I will just quickly look, or maybe not quickly. We'll do what we can. All right, these I think are in order of how they're in the catalog. So it's right here, the detailed pumpkin dies and the pretty pumpkin bundle. There is a lot you can do with this one. So this is on page 48. Let's just take a really quick look before we get started. So, you know, if I'm just carrying on too much for you right now, grab a drink of water, use the restroom, get yourself a snack. So this is the bundle that I will be working with right now. I'm using the sentiments and then this nice detailed pumpkin is what we've got. And also the soft suede ink again. I do have a pumpkin pie blend marker for supplies on this card. And this is a little bit of a fun fold, so this is really cute. I've got pumpkin pie. I do have very vanilla is my little flap. And then soft suede is the background. And I've already pre-scored it for everybody. So if you want to recreate this one, just go ahead and measure it up and you'll have the measurements at your fingertips. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of adhere the layers that aren't going to have any stamping, which would be this one will be the first one. And so this is the background. The flap is on the bottom for this card. I'm going to adhere the Designer Series paper. This is from the Nature's Harvest. And now if you're making these from your Fall Fest packet, you may want to do one with this Designer Series, one with that. So you create it however you would like to. And let me see here. Oh, looks like, you know what? If this happens to you, no problem. I got to trim this down 1/4 of an inch. That is easy to do. So if you get your packet and this looks like it's just a little too big, just trim it down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put that right down here. And then next, I've got this label. This came from the Frightfully Cute bundle, really. This label, I used it a few times in the cards that we use for Fall Fest. It's just a great, great label. It's fun to have new labels to use. Okay, so Thankful for You is what's going to go on this one. Okay, very nice. And let's take a look here. So on the bottom of here, I'm going to do my stamping first here because if I mix it up before I adhere it, I can always flip it over. So that's a little trick too. If you're newer to stamping, and even if you're not newer, it's a good reminder because I do it myself too. I'll adhere it all and then all of a sudden I'll mix something up and I go, why did I do that? Why did I adhere it first? I should always wait to adhere it until I'm done stamping. Because even if I have to, at that point, cut another piece, I'm just cutting this piece. I'm not having to cut the whole card. So look at that. Beautiful. If friends were pumpkins, I'd pick you. What a great card to send somebody this time of year. Okay, so now that I'm done stamping, because the inside flap, I'm just going to write on that. So I'm going to put this into place. There we go. I'm just going to position it so it's centered. So we'll adhere the back side to what was stamped. This is so fun to do fun folds. I like a good, simple stamping card, but I like to add a fun fold in too. And really, I still consider this a fairly simple stamping card. And so now for the label, I'm going to let it stick up just a little bit. So I'm going to put it right in place so that when you flip that flap up, that's what you see. See? And so just make sure you only put adhesive on the bottom part if you're creating it as I did. And now I will bring back in the silicone mat. Okay, and let's do liquid glue again. And, you know, something else you can do. The liquid glue, it does actually have two sides. Many people miss this. You can take your liquid glue and go like, oh, I was a little rough there. But go like this and spread it out. It gives you a little thinner layer. And then you'll see here. So I'm not going on every single piece of this. That's not necessary. When I pick it up, it's still fine. And then that I set aside. No worries on that. And I'm going to put this. This is going to stick out the top. That's the intended way for that to be. I could have maybe put that just a little lower, but that's okay. No two cards are alike, just like the pumpkins. And I'm going to adhere my top leaf to my pumpkin with a mini dimensional. And then last but not least, we just have to tie our gingham ribbon. And we're going to color it. So no big earth-shattering tips today, but I'm sharing with you some things that maybe you don't know or you haven't thought of or you forgot about. That if you want to make a ribbon a different color, all you have to do is use your Stampin' Blends markers. And now I can make this an orange and black gingham ribbon. Perfect for fall, perfect for Halloween cards. And I'm just going to tie a knot. So again, not a real bow, but I'm still getting use of the really pretty ribbons in my cards today. And I'm just going to trim off the ends to my liking. And I can always trim it down even a little bit more after I have it adhered to the card. And I will adhere it with a glue dot. So I can even just stick it right on there, flip it upside down so you see how nice the Take a Pic tool is, how handy it is. All right, that completes card number 3. We are moving now into card number 4. There is a kind of a little more to card number 4. I do need to bring, let's move this out of the way. You know what? Yeah, that completes that one. I was gonna maybe put some, I can always go back. I did not put, I was thinking if I needed those metallic dots on that last card, but I don't think it was, I think it looked great how it was, so I'm not gonna put them on there. All right, so card number 4. Look at this one. Isn't this a stunner? If this one looks familiar, this one I cased from the back of the Occasions catalog. So on the page where they show the die cuts and the bundles together, that's where this idea came from. Excuse me, I needed a drink of water there. All right, and so this is from the Beauty of Tomorrow bundle. I believe the bundle is called Beauty of this Earth, but Beauty of Tomorrow is the stamp set that I used. I'm going to get the supplies out. I don't know that I have those ready. All right, here it is. Okay, let me get these out. Guess I missed card number 4 when I set up my table, but that's okay. I have it right here. So look at this. So there is lots of supplies that are in this. I've got crumb cake for my label. I just have slivers. So after, you know, you cut out, if you have the Harvest metal paper, you've made some cards with it, you end up with some scraps. And so that's exactly what I cut that out from. I've got a die cut there, and I have this one, but you know what? I think I already had one ready. So I didn't want to have to set up 2 Stamparatuses. So I already have one of these ready. I'll stamp that one for you though. And then look at this die cut. So those that got the Fall Fest packets, please, when you see or talk to my husband, whether it be online, in person, if you ever see Chris Nelson pop up front on your Facebook or somewhere, tell him thank you for cutting out those die cuts for us. And then we've got the Bumblebee gingham ribbon. And crumb cake is our base today. So I think I have all my bases covered here. Let's move this out of the way. Ink today, I believe, let's see, we have got Real Red, crumb cake, and Bumblebee for the ink colors on this card. All right, let's just get started on some of these layers. And let me see if I have that last piece. I think I'm gonna have to cut one for that one. Hold on, I will be right with you. I'm gonna cut a piece for the background. Might need to cut it down a little bit more. Okay, that looks good. I just quickly cut this down. Apparently I was missing it. So a 2x4 crumb cake too is what we need. See, like I said, this is just like you would be here. If I'm missing something or gotta get something across the room, I'll do just that. All right, so crumb cake is our base. And let's bring in the stamps. Where are the stamps for this one? I know they were separate. Maybe I'll hold on this one. I might have to come back to card number 4. Just let me look around here just a second. I knew I grabbed them after the fact and I was gonna have to clean them. But you know what? I can do a little bit of it. We sure can. We're gonna make this happen. All right, so I'm gonna pull this template out for now. I'm gonna pull this one in. We're gonna figure this out one way or another. All right, and I'm really good at improvising things. I'm gonna stick my die cut right inside of there. And I have it already set up and cut out for my Stamparatus. So, you know, these are in your packet cut out, but if you have the stamp set, you may wanna cut out your own and do it, or you may just improvise with something else. But you can certainly try to stamp right on top of that. But it was easier, you know, as long as I was cutting them for everybody, I included them in your packets. And so I'm going to do real red on this one. Okay, let's just push that down nice and snug. And look at that. So real red and bumblebee, mint macaroon. What a great color combination. Oftentimes I don't think of these color combinations on my own. You want to know where that was? It was sitting like right next to the card. Imagine that, huh? And, you know, isn't that just how it goes? So let me get out the rest of those stamps that I'm going to need. I'm going to need a little scratch paper for this piece. Well, at least I have the main parts done that need the Stamparatus. So I knew if I looked around long enough, I'd come across it. So let's do the sentiment again. So I'll bring this real red in one more time. We'll do the sentiment. We'll do the background. We'll just see how it goes here. Okay, so like straight up, straight down. Perfect stamping there. Let's move that out of the way. And now we'll go with the crumb cake. So you see I'm doing like the tone on tone. So that's something really nice to do. Just gives your card a little extra dimension when you add like this in the background. Could you do it without? Sure, absolutely. Or you could maybe emboss this piece. But I thought the writing, you know, you're not going to actually be able to really read it, but it just adds such a nice little polished off look to the card. So I'm going to stamp that 2 times in the crumb cake. I'm going to leave my crumb cake open as long as I'm stamping. This is the last bit of stamping. In this set, there's this, I love these. I love these little splotches. So this is what I'm going to add to both corners. Now, if you go wild stamping and you want to stamp the whole thing, that'd probably work too. Tone on tone. This is crumb cake on crumb cake. I did re-ink my ink pads right before the event. And now if you notice, look at this. All right, let me see. So do you see this ink pad was pretty clean when I started. When I'm stamping and doing this, I'm just doing a nice gentle touch. I'll show you at the end what you don't want to do, okay? So if you want to keep things nice and neat, keep your fingers relatively clean. It's not, you're not going to be able to do it at all. So we're just doing a nice gentle tap. Tap, tap, tap is what you want to do. What you don't want to do, this is something that probably should never happen if you practice at it. When you're doing it, you don't want to go like this, okay? Look at what happens there. Let me hold that up. You get all that all over. And then it ends up on your hands. It ends up on your card, on your other card, on the inside, on your purse, on your face. So just a nice gentle tapping is all you need to do on these, because these pads are cushiony. There's a little bit of a cushion there. So that's just my little tip as far as trying, you know, we all have to work at it a little bit, trying to keep your ink pads and your blocks relatively clean. See, it's not, you're still going to get ink on you. That is just, I don't know that that's avoidable, but it helps eliminate some of the mess. All right, but now, you know, who am I to talk about messes? My room is a disaster, just an absolute disaster. I say it's an organized chaos disaster. So I'm putting this right down onto my base. And next I'm gonna just start building my background. This is, do you see that? That's not how I did that. That's way too big. And really, when you cut this out, so everybody got 2 of these. So which I thought was pretty generous, but you don't really need to. You could probably get 3 or 4 cards out of the 2 that you have. And so what I did was I just trimmed it down. So again, they're all probably gonna be a little bit different. I'm not gonna overthink where I'm trimming it because it's really the background. So that's gonna go right there. And then I want a little piece to stick out of the bottom side. And so let's see, how much do I want of that? So I think I'll go over here. And then I'm still gonna have all of this left that I could even do that. So you'll probably have leftovers in your packet for that part. And we will bring in this again, our silicone craft sheet. And now I'm just gonna, since this is a little bit bigger, look at this, you can just run your tape runner right over the top of it. Isn't that simple? I'm gonna do the same thing here, and it's not sticking to this. My surface is staying not sticky. And I'm gonna put that down to the right side. Let's attach these with some dimensionals. Actually, you know what I gotta do first? I have to put my little slivers of designer series paper. Now these are cut at a 4-inch spot to just a half an inch strip. I'm gonna just tear the little edging of that off. I'm gonna do the same thing there. I'm gonna put these two sides that are gonna be facing up. So let's go ahead and adhere those. Just a little tiny strip is all we need. Put this one on the top. This is kind of one of those cards, kind of like leaves. None of them are going to be the same. They're going to all be just a little bit different. I do want this one to be a little shorter than the other one. So before I push it down, I'm going to just tear another little piece off of that. And next, let's put these on with some dimensionals. This part is going to be handy to have. Both sizes. You see, it's kind of, once you really get deep into the crafting, you'll find things that you can make it by with one size, but sure is nice to have both. Kind of like you can go fishing with one fishing lure, but it's really more fun to have like 8 or 9 or 400. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere these also with dimensionals. Now you'll notice this die is actually from the Harvest Meadow. This one is from this one. This from Beauty of this Earth. This is from the Harvest Meadow. We had a little kerfuffle when we were at the event, so I had the wrong ones cut. Those that got packets to go, you have the proper ones. I switched them out. But in the off chance that I missed it, this is from the Harvest Meadow. Again, you know, when you're doing this large of an event, sometimes things get a little mixed up. And these were very similar, you'll see. So it also worked. This one was just a little more bold, I guess. But it worked. It was okay. It just happened that day. We're like, wait, this isn't lining up. What happened? So, you know, those things happen. They're very similar. And I was working with both of those die cuts at the same time. And so, you know, I got a little mixed up. All right, and so I'm going to tear that off, and let's get a glue dot to put this bumblebee gingham ribbon down. I'm just folding it in half. Let's see, I'll put my glue dot right about there. I'm going to want this to stick out both sides, so let's just put that like so. So not a lot to that, just fold it in half, attach it with a glue dot. And then we'll put our label right here. So I'll put a dimensional, looks like right down here, regular adhesive up there so it lays flat or on the same level. I don't want it to be all, you know, off. Okay, so adhere that. And then I liked the brass colored matte dots for this one. And let's do this a little different. Let's put them on the bottom left and top right. We're switching it up a little bit. I'm gonna do 5, 3 on the bottom, 2 on the top. I like to work in uneven numbers. All right, so that completes card number 4. We are going to be now moving into card number 5. And I hope I grabbed it. Did I grab card number 5? I sure did. So card number 5 is a card case from my friend Kim Allen. She is in North Carolina. So I'm thanking Kim right away here for this card using Evening Evergreen and Basic White for our cardstock colors. It is using the Evergreen Elegance stamp set. Such a perfect set. This is a simple stamping card. No die cutting on this card. We're simply using stamps, ink, and paper. If you have to make multiple Christmas cards, watch me make this card right now and you are gonna fall in love. Stamping trees is so much fun. I love stamping trees. I didn't know how much I love stamping trees until I created this card here today. This will be a really good one to watch as I go. So if you struggle, and it's fine if you do, don't be ashamed of it by any means, but if you struggle with the ink pad in the block situation, watch me do this one because I'm going to be doing a lot of inking. But I do need to find some scratch paper. How about I stamp on the back of my logo? That'll be a good place to stamp. All right, again, maybe you're tuning in a little late or you forwarded through the beginning part. I am Tammy Nelson with Stamp and Scrap with Tammy, and we are going over the Fall Fest 2021 cards. People purchase these kits to go, so if you purchase one, that's why you're watching. You know why you're watching, but maybe you're just popping in, you caught this on YouTube. And so it's primary reason for this video is to show off to those people who purchase the packets for Fall Fest, the cards that they're getting. And for the rest of you is to show you what they are, what Fall Fest is all about, what Spring Fest with Stamp and Scrap with Tammy is about. And then of course, just to share with you some really great ideas. I'm all about sharing and passing on their creativity. So feel free to take screenshots of any of the cards that you see, but I will not be providing full, tutorials, measurements for everybody. So see this, I'm just going gentle tap, tap, tap. I'm going to go ahead and stamp right towards the top of that. This is 2 separate pieces, probably hard to see in the video. So I'm going about the center of the card up. Okay, see that? Look at that. Very little excess ink on that. And then let's do this, nice tap, 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 real gentle. I'm not pushing in too hard to the ink pad. And next layer. And then next up, let's do this smaller little one. And now something we can do here is we can do a 2nd generation stamp. So it's a little bit lighter. And I'm going to do the same over on this side. This one will be just like the leaves. None of them are going to be exactly the same. In fact, like maybe here I want to do another tree. If you want to have like a thicker forest, you go for it. You make your forest however you want to. This is your card. All right, and we need a sentiment on here. So how am I going to do my sentiment? Because this is the other piece. So this is the piece that the sentiment is going to go on. And so the way I set it up before adhering, I'm not going to adhere this first, but I'm going to eyeball where this paper is going to land, my designer series paper. So this is a Christmas designer series paper out of the annual catalog. So see, I have that eyeballed. So now I know, because I'm going to do a little paper tearing there. And so I'm going to place this, see that? Nice gentle tapping, tap, tap, tap. And let's move this down. And the reason I'm not adhering, because if we have a major kerfuffle, then we still can flip over and make it on the other side, okay? Okay, get ready, set, wish me luck. Straight up, straight down, let that ink soak in, up we go. Looks great. And then on this one, there's a nice inside sentiment too, so I would like to add that right away as we're stamping, and then we will just assemble. May the beauty of this season bring you joy, warm memories to cherish throughout the year. This is just, this is a top-notch card if you have to make multiples. And I will go ahead and put my Evening Evergreen ink away and these stamps so that we don't end up with ink where we don't want it to be. I did want to grab a wink of Stella out. Okay, so now I can go ahead and adhere that. Do you see? So you can decide now if you want to add a little color, do the flip side of the paper. But this is just a 3/4 of an inch strip here. And I have got a 1/2 inch strip here. You know what? I do want to try this. I want to see it both ways. So I'm going to make one. I love this pattern of paper. And you see, so now I've got a little wiggle room here. I'm going to layer this over the top of it so it's not, so I have enough room for my Merry Christmas there. So it's intended to do that. And then I'm just going to snip off the sides of the paper here that are just a little bit longer than what they need to be. Now what am I going to do? We are going to just tear this. People at the event were just really concerned with how to tear this. Well, look at this. Now, if you have a fancy tearing tool, that used to be kind of a thing, go for it, use it, dig it out. But, you know, I don't have time for that. I know I have one here. I don't have time for that. So I'm just going to tear it. That's it. That's it. We're making snow. Snow is not meant to be neat. It's meant to just be, you know, different levels, different layers. It's meant to be different than the other card. And so that's all there is to that. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this into place now. And then I'm going to add a little, you know what I should do? No, I'm going to do this first because do you see this? So I'm going to add some, it kind of blended, which that doesn't look bad. But if you don't want that to happen, add some Wink of Stella to give sparkle to your snow to where the, like the tear in the paper is. So I'm just going to go along there. You might not be able to see it in the video, but it does add a really special little touch to it. I'm just going to go down just a little bit there. So I would recommend doing that before you adhere this part. And then we'll put that into place. And that, like, darn near completes the card. Now what we have to do is put it on an evening evergreen base. In the sample that I got from Kim, she actually had it on basic white. Also looked very lovely. So basic white, I mean, really you can do whatever you like, but in the packet is evening evergreen. Now if you did it, if you were making multiples of this one and you put it on basic white, it wouldn't be necessary to add an insert even. So it'd be a very economical card as well to create. One package of cardstock, one package of designer series paper, and one stamp set. And you could make, I mean, goodness, it's hardly any designer series paper. You could probably make, well, one pack of designer or of cardstock is 24 sheets of paper. So you could make 48 cards plus, you know, grab 2 packs of paper and you'd have 100 cards for less than $30 plus your stamp set. So $50, you could have 100 plus cards. You know, that's cheaper than buying cards than like when you get a photo card. So look at that, beautiful. Card number 5. Let's move to card number 6. This one is cased from Carol Nordquist is who I cased this card from. I did switch up the colors just a little bit, but I love this card. This card is using, I have to think here. Again, feel free if you're watching the replay here, chime in on anything I'm not thinking of. But I'll think of it in a second. I have the color here. Oh, and I didn't even have to look. Polished Pink is my card base. I've got Early Espresso. I'm moving this template out of the way. So we are doing a bit of Stamparatusing as well today. Let's just do some Stamparatusing. Let's just get that right out of the way. So I've got my, what did I call that? Harvest Meadow dies already pre-cut out. I'm going to drop that right into my Stamparatus. Because I'm going to be coloring on this one, I do want to use Memento black ink for this one, which, again, this is kind of becoming a theme I need to find. We use that on card number 1, so I need to bring that back from card number 1. And I will bring this back in here. Now, I will tell you, so I'm coloring after I stamp with my blends markers. You can color on your stamps with Stampin' Write markers. You cannot on the blends markers. Now, if you do, like I did accidentally, it will just color your stamp just a little bit. But it does not in any way ruin the function of your stamp. It just, if you do that, it just doesn't actually stamp. So you have to use either the Stampin' Write markers if you want to color right onto your stamp, or ink. And so because I'm going to be coloring these flowers in, I'm starting with Memento. Okay, I'm just gonna put this down in place. Now, let's see. I didn't push real nice. Well, actually that looks pretty good. But this spot right here missed a little bit. So that's the beauty of the Stamparatus. I can push it down, give a nice little push to the little spot that missed, and voila, we've got a perfectly stamped, ready to go image. I'm gonna move my Stamparatus out of the way. And because I need more thank you cards, I'm also gonna make this into a thank you. So I will pull back in the thank you from, was that card number 2? I'm just gonna stamp that off a little bit because I'm gonna use basic black here on the label. This label is from the Harvest Meadow as well. And we can move that out of the way again. And now let's get to putting this card together. We'll do a little stamping. So this is, you know, not a simple stamping because there's die cutting, but really look at this, not a lot of pieces. In this cork paper cut out of those color contour dies, it's very thin, even though it looks like it's really thick. So it doesn't add weight to your card. So as far as mailing goes, it's not, you know, a heavy card, even though it really gives the look that it is. So we have got, what did I call this again? Polished pink. Early espresso that I did in that script 3D embossing folder. It's all pre-embossed for you. There's not any ribbon on this one, so really I can just start layering it up. I do have an insert here in Very Vanilla. So I've got Very Vanilla, Polished Pink, the cork, and Early Espresso. And of course we're gonna add some green for the stems. Looks like I have an extra one here. And see how handy the silicone mat is. I'm gonna put this, let me see what I did. I put it directly on, it looks like. We're gonna go with that. And then I'll put my flower up on some dimensionals today. So I'm just building the layers here. Of course, I'm gonna have to break and do some coloring. Might need a little drink of my water as well. So far, I hope that you're enjoying the cards, you're enjoying your Fall Fest, whether it be you're doing it on the weekend or maybe you're just doing it in little bits and pieces throughout your week. And now let's color before we finish this. You know, I'm gonna color right on that. So I've got just a variety of blend markers. It looks like I have got, I do want a soft suede for the top of that flower. I've got green for the base, that's Granny Apple Green. And I've got light magenta madness and light polished pink. So I'm gonna go with the light polished pink to get started. I'm not doing, I hear all the time people say that they're not good at coloring. The blends markers paired with Stampin' Up! Stamps are the perfect combination for you to have, let's call it simple, successful coloring. Oftentimes I call my stamping simple, successful stamping. I try to keep my projects simple enough. So simple, let's add another word in there. Simple, successful, stunning stamping. Because you can make simple stamping cards, but they can also be stunning. They don't have to be plain Jane and boring. They can really be stunners. And this one is definitely one of those. It's not a difficult card to create. There's no crazy techniques to it. We're simply stamping. We're doing a touch of coloring. See that? I just colored it normal. And now I'm just going to take the lines that are within here, and not even so much. I'm just, basically, guys, I'm just scribbling. I'm giving it just a little scribble. That's it. And that adds just one more little element of color. So it's not, see, this one, how about we outline the top of that? It's not anything that has to be, anything to be scared of or difficult. It's coloring. The blends markers are what I would recommend over even the Stampin' Write markers, because there you can pick and choose which colors you'd like. You don't have to get them all at one time. All right, and so here, Granny Apple Green. I got the light Granny Apple. Just kind of tracing along the edges. If I go out of the lines a little bit, that's no problem. I'm just gonna leave it. And I'm not even gonna go back in with a darker color, I don't think. I don't think I need to. I think it looks good just as it is. So that's all there was to coloring it. Magenta Madness, Polished Pink, Granny Apple Green, Soft Suede. Okay, and dimensionals it is for this one. Let's do both sizes again, as long as we have them nice and handy. So I can do the larger ones on the top of these flowers, and then the smaller ones on the other places that it's needed. And let's go ahead and get this ready as well. This one, I'm just gonna put it on the one side. You'll see why in just a minute. I think I could just look at that all day long. Polished Pink, Early Espresso, such a great color combination. And I've got that retired, I'm so sorry. You could use just regular gold, or there are some other really nice papers that could work for that too. This is a bedazzling that is sold out. Again, I had them all cut already. I cut hundreds of those. It was so fun. I binge watched some TV shows and just kept cutting and cutting and cutting. I had so much fun. Do you see that? So I put a little adhesive there. I've got my dimensional there. I'm going to tuck it right along the edge like so. Now here's optional. So I got the gold there. I can pull in some gold as well if you want to add another little element of pretty to this card. Add some of these brushed metallic dots. Oh, I missed that one. I'll go back and grab that one later. For the sake of time, I'm just gonna see when that starts happening, you just have to undo your whatever, the putty on top, give it another little twist, and now I have fresh putty. Let's see, let's get that one. There we go, I got it. See, there we go, now it's working perfectly. So just another stunning card. That was card number 6. So moving right along, let's go to card number 7. This is another fun one. So as I said, I really like Brenda Nelson's cards. This is another case card from Brenda Nelson. I did switch it up just ever so slightly, but not much at all. I did grab, I've got some little blotching behind there. I said I like to do that, and I wasn't kidding. And that I pulled from the gorgeous Leave stamp set. I love pulling stamp sets that I can use I use this one for a fall card, but look at this. I'm adding it now to the Ice Cream Corner stamp set. And so using it in another way. And I've got Early Espresso for my ink again. Polished Pink. See, obviously I like that color combination. And then a little crumb cake for the cone part of the card. Let's bring in the supplies here today. I have got that gold trim again. I just punched out a punch. I believe this is just like the Simply Label or Classic Label punch, just any label would work though, that you have. Here's my cone. I pre-punched those out along with my ice cream cones, and I embossed those. And let's see, I got some squares and here. So this is something that maybe doesn't show up at a glance in a picture, but it really adds something to the card versus just putting all of this right down on the card. I love just cutting another small little piece, tone on tone, but you know what? It really makes a difference. So if you're ever making a card, I almost always adding a layer to it, even if it is the same color, before you adhere the rest of the elements to your card. Now I'm going to put a few of these things on just to get them out of the way. This is the Artistically Inked Designer Series paper. It is just beautiful. And 3/4 of an inch strips is all we have here. So very easy to do. You can get a lot of cards out of one package of paper. So sometimes you may think, so the Artistically Inked paper is one of the more expensive ones because it does have foil. So it is $15 for a package, but look at that. If you're using elements like this, I used one package of paper, and I believe because there's 2 sheets of each one. Gosh, how many did I get? I got a lot out of a package of paper. There we go. I probably got 24 cards out of 2 pieces of paper. No, there was way more than that. There was more than that. 24 kits. So it'd be like 48 cards out of 2 12x12 sheets of paper or so, give or take. All right, so next we need to do some stamping. So this is kind of set up ready for us after we're done doing our really fun creating. Let's get in a little scratch piece of paper here and our polished pink ink to start. We will do a touch of Stamperadicing again. And now if you weren't doing it, if you're just making for your own, it would be much handier just to stamp and then punch, because the ice cream cone is a punch. But since we were doing it for a group, I decided to, see, I'm gonna do 2 stamps there, a second generation stamp. Stamp once, stamp twice. Some people call that stamp off, whatever you like to call it. But just stamp 2 times with only putting it into your ink pad 1 time. That finishes that part off. Let's bring in Early Espresso ink for the You Melt My Heart. And in the packets, there are 2 of these because stamping in the center or on the left and left, it didn't quite work to get 2 out of 1 punch. So you do have 2, and then we'll just trim off the edge. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to end up wanting this edge, yeah. So since I want that edge, I'm going to end up stamping a little more to the right, not in the center. I'm going to stamp to the right. So again, this is a really great layout. Even if maybe you don't have this stamp set, you could use this layout and this little tip as far as cutting this off. All right, I'm going to need that one more time. So that is already stamped, and now we'll need to try to, in my little, oh, you know what I can do? I got to stamp the inside with a happy birthday. So again, I just broke my own rule. I always say do all your stamping first, but you know what? If I mess this up, here's the good part about stamping right on my card base. If this goes wrong, if this goes terribly wrong, something I can do is I could just put an insert in there and you never know it. But look, we didn't go terribly wrong. Okay, so let's set that to the side. We got all of our pieces here. I'm bound to lose one of these pieces, but we're gonna do our best not to. Look at that, our little tiny cone, our little triangle. Got it set up on the Stamparatus. And I'm gonna see, my magnet is in the back. And you will notice I do need to get a new magnet. This did crack on the edge. So you do want to be very careful with your Stamparatus. If the magnets collide or if you drop it on a really hard surface, they can crack. These are earth magnets. They're like the best magnets in the world, and the strongest, which makes a great magnet for the Stamparatus. But if they drop on a hard surface, I've never had one break, but, or this is the first one I've had break. I've never actually broke one myself. But if it drops on a really hard surface or they crash together with each other, that can happen. So I typically just use one and I keep the other one to the side, and I'm just very careful not to drop them. And then I don't have any trouble. I have 4 Stamparatuses and I've been using them for about 4 years. And this is the first one that's happened to. So that's nothing to worry about if it happens to you. It's not, or if you get a Stamparatus and that's your concern, it's not typical that happens. And there is replacements, so it's an option if it happens. And usually you can get them apart without any issue too. Okay, so here, do you see that? I kind of missed in the center. So let's just stick that back down. Now I know where I'm missing, so I know that I want to just push right there, just a little bit more snug. And let's pull that off. There we go, looks good. And it doesn't need to be perfect because this is an ice cream cone after all. And look at this, we have these little crosses. This also makes for a fun background. So now I'll put this right over the top here. You see how nice and light? Light to the touch on there. See? Like barely even touching it. And then light to the touch down onto the paper. Makes for a nicely stamped image. And less of a mess. That kind of rhymes. All right, and I do believe we are done with all of the ink pads, all of the stamps for this card. I'm gonna set those aside, and now let's go ahead with our assembly. Okay, so we are gonna put our basic white that we stamped with the polished pink, and then just a little background splotching from the Gorgeous Leaves stamp set onto there. And this is just going to be so beautiful. And then let's add this over the top with dimensionals. So this is where it's very nice to have the larger ones. I'm going to put one on each corner and one in the center. You don't really need any more than that. It's going to be secured. These are very sticky. I like to have it on the right and the left for this particular card, so that's why we're going that way. And we're gonna put these also on dimensionals, and then we'll put our cone together. Okay, because I have them, I'll put a mini. I've got this gold trim coming up too. So you'll notice I kind of like that technique too. That's kind of my signature, is a little loop-de-loop behind the cards. And I'm gonna put this on first. So I'm gonna put one dimensional there. That's all I need. We're gonna tuck that onto the ice cream cone. And now this one, same thing. I'm just gonna put one dimensional on the top, the very top, so that it can layer nicely. But this one I will put a little strip of adhesive there so it sticks to this embossed piece. See, and then I'm just gonna layer it right up, and then I've got a very cute ice cream cone. Now let's just snip this off. And I find for myself, I can cut smaller pieces pretty easily with just a paper snips. Even, you know, if they're not too large of a piece. This is about as large as I go, where I don't feel like I need to bring in my paper trimmer. So here we have that gold trim, and let's put a glue dot down in the center, in approximately the center of where I want that to end up at, which will be right about here. And then again, just gonna wrap it around like so. Let's pull it out, and we want the tails to stick out a little bit. And push it down nice and firm. And then put some dimensionals onto our label. I'll leave the make sure I leave the center open so that it makes clearance where that glue dot is in the ribbon, or the trim I should call it. So I've got the gold trim. Okay, and then adhere that down into place. And if you want to rearrange it at that point, you can, but I like exactly where it's at. And we're gonna add some more of these brushed metallic dots to this card. So you'll see how nicely, just with the combination of cards that I created, how great these metallic dots go with each and every one of these cards. So you can be, you know, you don't have to buy every single embellishment in the catalog. Now, if you want to, it's not a terrible idea. So again, that was card number 7. But you can get a lot of use out of these right here for lots of different cards, including this next one where I colored the metallic dots as well. This card I saw originally at a scrapbooking retreat I attended. Lori Callies, it's like C-A-L-L-I-E-S. She made this, and I didn't even have to take a picture of it. It was just lodged in my memory. I absolutely love it. And this is using a host set. Again, I'm extending celebration. Excuse me, I needed a drink of water. I'm extending celebration through October 2021 for my customers and all of you watching. So if you order through my ordering link through September, of course, try to use the host code. If you don't worry about it. We'll get it figured out. But if you do that, I'm going to reward you with an extended celebration. I will contact you and ask you what you would like to receive for celebration. I am going to get out. I missed a couple of things, so bear with me here. Just needing to get the ribbon out for this card. You'll see my Scotch tape come back into play. And a very simple ribbon tying here. So we have got the, where was I going with this? This is a Delicate Dahlia stamp set. We're gonna end up needing a little scratch paper again. The Delicate Dahlia is what I'm using. To color my metallic dots, I've got the dark shaded spruce ink. And for my sentiments today, what I decided to do is use kind of an unlikely combination, but they worked perfectly for the space that I had, is the Let's Celebrate and Happy Birthday from Hey Birthday Chick. So that is what I use for sentiments. Okay, so let's get started here. Let me just show you this card. This is so pretty. So this one is very vibrant. I had just re-inked the stamp set. So my one that I'm stamping now might not be quite as vibrant, but you know what I should probably stamp on is one of those foam mats. All right, so this mat is called a Stampin' Pierce mat, excuse me. It gives a little cushion when you're stamping with photopolymer. So when I have a larger, especially, photopolymer stamp, these clear ones, that's what that's called. I like to stamp it on a foam mat. Okay, and I'm gonna go over the top. I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's go over here. So I'm not sure how vibrant this is gonna be after, I don't know, I believe about 60 cards were stamped with this, but I think it's still gonna be great. All right, so I'm going up to the right corner. It's going off the paper a little bit. See that? I'm letting it really get into the paper. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. So this was re-inked right before the event, and it is still going strong. Look at how pretty that is. And that's one of those distinctive where it looks kind of faded and dark in different areas. So that's all that gets stamped on that piece. What else are we stamping on this card? I believe there's a little bit more. On the card base, okay, I'm gonna just fold this. I'll bring in my, I'll fold it. You know what, I gotta do it. I gotta move this out of the way. Excuse me. I need my bone fold. It was pre-scored. That's what you get for not using a bone fold. It didn't fold it evenly. Okay. There. Now we're better. Okay, so on the inside, I'm going to take this other flower from the Dahlia stamp set. And so I have a few of these sets remaining, not a lot. These were the free with a $100 order. So if you didn't get in on that and you still want to, of course, if you're watching September 30th, you still can today. But if you're watching and it's October already and you want this, it is while supplies last with me as well. So after your order's placed, I will contact you to find out which celebration option you would like. Okay, straight up, straight down. And we have to do our sentiment. I'm kind of going backwards here. Happy birthday on the inside. Let's celebrate you on the outside. Normally I stamp all my outside stuff. Maybe that's what I should start doing because I tend to forget to do the inside. Especially, I will do it on cards I send, but when I'm making a video, I get all excited about the outside and I forget about making the inside all pretty too. Okay, and that's it for the actual ink pad and stamping with the stamps. But just so we have it all out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and color on here. So when I do my coloring, when I'm coloring embellishments, I like to do it right on top of when they're still adhered, because then you can get a better coloring in and you won't get it on your paper. So I'm going to do 5 for what I'm creating today. We'll do 2 larger ones, let's see, and 3 smaller ones. You see that? So you can make embellishments any color you want. Again, you can do that with the pearls, even the rhinestones, you can color them. And let's just start adhering now. So you see, we kind of have the same concept of that last one where the square, I believe on this one, the basic white is just a 3 by 3 and then 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. I did kind of stick with a lot of the same supplies throughout today's cards. I have the script embossing folder on the basic white, shaded spruce for the background, basic white for the base. Now before we get going on here, let's take this sparkle ribbon. I don't know the name of this off the top of my head. I'd have to look. But this is where I'm just going to fold it across. So there's 4 pieces in each one of your Fall Fest kits. I'm going to put that down in place. Use just a little piece of Scotch tape to add that. And then what you're going to do is take this other ribbon here. Do you see that's nice and loose in the front? I only put adhesive on the back. I'm going to slide that ribbon in underneath and I'm going to just tie a knot. Like so. So here we go. Just like that. This is a firm, stronger ribbon, so I'm going to give it a nice little tug so that it stays in place. It's still loose on here, so now I can maneuver this around if I want, you know, my bow to go further left, further right. I can do that. And then I'll just trim off the edges, and now you have a perfect bow without tying a bow. So this is a great technique to look into if you are not in love with tying bows like myself. It's It's a great way to still get use of ribbon. Ribbon is probably by far my weakest. I don't know if weak is a great word. It is what my go-to. You know, some people have to have every sheet of paper. I have to have every kind of ribbon, every kind. I can look at it at a glance in the catalog and maybe go, well, I don't know if I really like that one, if that one's, you know, really my style or pretty, but I still have to order it. And lo and behold, 9 times out of 10, it ends up being like one of my favorites. And so this, I'll just adhere over the top of that with some dimensionals. Again, I wanted to make clearance of the ribbon, so I'll make sure I keep my dimensionals. That's why I'm going to use the mini ones. I know I have plenty of room, but just in case. On the very top and the very bottom. I'm not going to put them on the sides because that'll run into the ribbon then. This was a case card from Lori, and I'm not sure if she found it somewhere else or if this was her original design, but I love this card. And this one is one of those where you could make it in every single color of the rainbow. It does not have to. This just, honestly, this one came because I had a lot of shaded spruce cardstock, so I thought, huh, that'll look good. And I practiced stamping the images. I love the shaded spruce yellow. Like any of the yellows look good. Daffodil Delight looked awesome. But I landed on shaded spruce because I liked how this stamped, and I had a lot of shaded spruce cardstock. So this is a layout that you can do just over and over again with different colors. You can have a rainbow of cards. And that finishes off, let's see, what were we at? Card number 8. Can you believe it? We are through 8 cards. So now we are working into card 9 and 10. And these are very simple. Simple but stunning is what you'll always get from me when creating cards. And so we're going back to some crumb cake. I'm teasing you again with this paper that is sold out, the Bedazzling. I don't remember the name of this one either, but this is one of the designer series in Celebration. I've got some Iridescent Snowflakes. This label came from, let me see, like the Hippo Happiness die cut set has these fabulous layers in the annual catalog. The stamp set, I'm just adding a nice simple Merry Christmas and this inside sentiment as well. And this design was cased by Desiree Crum from Desiree's Doodles. It does not say where she is from, but Desiree's Doodles, Desiree Crum is who was the original creator of this design. She used a different sentiment, but I didn't have that one. So like you, if you don't have this and you're creating with me today, grab a different sentiment that fits in the label spot. You don't have to have that one. But this is from the Perfectly Plaid. There's a punch that goes with this one as well. This is from the annual catalog. So you may have this one in your collection and you may not even know it. So if you are wondering, take a look. This one was out last year already, so it's possible that you have it. And so I had this set from last year, so that's also another really nice thing to do, is to go back to some of those that you have. We don't always have to be working with all the stuff that's like just out now. There's still some many great things in our collections. And straight up, straight down photopolymer. Hold in this mat again. While I'm letting that soak in, I'm going to get a sip of my water again. Okay, and the great thing about me doing these all in a row, I'm going to have 10 more cards ready to send. I should do a video like every other week. I would actually end up with enough Christmas cards then maybe. Last year I ran out and I was struggling to get enough done. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my inside sentiment. That way I can set my stamps and my ink aside. I'm using Memento Ink. Memento, if you do not have it, is definitely a go-to ink that you would have. Now it may not sound as fun and as exciting to get a black ink, excuse me, or the neutral inks, but that's definitely where I would start if you're a beginner stamper and you're wondering, what kinds of things do I start with? I would start with the neutrals. And you can add all those pops of color with designer series papers and other embellishments and ribbons and things. Oh, I don't like that. Oh my. See, look at that. Nope. See, it's not adhered. So what can I do? There was a little tiny piece of fuzz on there. So what can we do now? I flipped that over. It's not adhered to my finished card because now this is the inside. So had I put that on my finished card, I would just have to live with the way that it was. But because I didn't adhere that, I can just flip it over straight up, straight down. I remove that little piece of fuzz and perfect. So That's kind of the reason behind don't adhere until you're done with your stamping. It is so much easier to grab another piece of this basic white than it is to grab a whole nother card. But after all, at the same time, it's handmade. So if there is a little kerfuffle or a little mix up or snag in your card, don't worry about it. Your friends and family are still gonna love your card. Crumb cake, just folded in half, a nice, look at that. I'm getting really messy now. As I'm talking about not getting messy, look at me. All right, so I'm just gonna try to not get that on anything. Jeez, what happened? I should probably go wash my hands. Okay, so it's there too. Must have been on my black. Okay. So now I'm gonna be very careful not to get that black everywhere. Let me see if I have a paper towel. I sure do. Let me just wipe those fingers off a little bit. And I did use the wood grain embossing folder right on my crumb cake. So again, crumb cake on crumb cake, tone on tone. We did that in a few cards today. Adhere that down. And let's get this ready and I'll show you how I did this. So I've got this bedazzling, just some really skinny strips. I'm gonna put my adhesive onto my designer series first. So what I'm gonna wanna have happen, did I even show you the card? Well, how dare me? That's not very nice of me. So here's the card that we're working with right now. So if you got started, you were like, what is she doing? If you're following along and creating as we go. This is a sample that we're making. All right, and so what I'm gonna do now, you see that I got my adhesive on both sides. I'm just gonna line it up with this to leave just a little bit sneaking out of the edge. So if you have this bedazzling and you're kind of wondering what to do with it, just using little touches of it here and there throughout your cards is really the best way to go with this. You don't need to have a whole huge background because there's only 8 sheets in a package. But as you know, as you're using this, you're gonna know why it sold out when it did because it's stunning. It is really pretty. But if you want to recreate this card, just use some gold. Use those, there's brushed metallic sheets in the Occasions catalog. There's gold in the regular catalog. There's definitely other ones that can be used for this. And sometimes when I have this now, I do need to trim off just a smidge there. And this is gonna go on to our card base next. And then we just have one more card to make. Can you believe that? 10 cards in about an hour. That's pretty darn good. And I'm gonna go ahead. And I don't think I was missing too many things. You know, they were actually just like right in front of me, the few that I was missing. And here's the Iridescent Snowflakes. These are really beautiful. They're in a little like embellishment pack. And I'm not even sure how many you get, but you get quite a few of them. And they're just so cute. You don't have to die cut them. So for $6, you get like a ton of them. I don't know. I used 2 packages for, I believe, about 70 cards. So, you know, you get a lot of them. And just put that down into place. And then we're going to add our label. So Hippo Happiness is where that came from. Kind of an unlikely source for this beautiful label. And some of these you may have and not even realize it. Like you may have that set because you brought it for the cute little animals in there. And then, you know, didn't take a look at all the cute dies that are in there as well. Lots of different sizes of that. So I'm going to just layer this right over the top of that snowflake. And let's not forget some of our metallic, brushed metallic adhesive back dots. That is a mouthful to say. And looks like I should have used some of the other colors. I'm running out of gold. And that finishes off card number 9. A very beautiful, simple stamping, but stunning card for Christmas. And last but not least, one of the most simple, but just gorgeous, using the Beauty of This Earth, the Designer Series paper. Now, you know, when things are popular, they're popular. So this paper is currently not available to order. It will be back again, hopefully sometime in October. But you know what? When things are hot, they're hot. And that is exactly what this one is. I've got some really fun projects coming up with that. And I need to get the card stuff. So look at this. So I've got that same label, once again, from Frightfully Cute. dies. So there's no Halloween here, but look at how awesome those dies are. Let's just start here. I'm going to take this die and cut it. So that starts that off. I did use, so if you're wondering like, gosh, I love these cards. I don't want to buy all of these stamps. I just need some really good sentiments. I like the Peaceful Moments stamp set for my go-to sentiment. Kind of covers almost all occasions that I need. And that's the one I'm going to use here today. I made it a happy birthday here, but I also think this could be a great thinking of you. Congratulations. Really, this can be in all occasions, anything you want kind of card. So I am going to make it into a sympathy card today. Early Espresso is my background, is my base color. And then I have got the colors within this suite are Rich Raspberry and Blackberry Bliss. Of course, there are others, but for the cards that I'm making today, I'm mixing and matching Rich Raspberry and Blackberry Bliss. I don't need that just yet. So look at this foiled paper. The other patterns in there are just great. There's many different foils in this designer series paper. So you will see more of this one to come from me in the future. And I'm gonna add here, this is just so easy to create. Next, I'm gonna do that same technique with the ribbon that I made. Oh, no, not yet, not yet. Okay, I think I have to get a piece out of the pack. Okay, so what happens, let me tell you here. Let me show you actually. Let me show you the way. So this is a 12 by 12 designer series paper. And this is exactly, I should have had a full sheet. This is exactly how it looks when you cut it. So just imagine this, okay? And this would be like here, and this would be here, okay? So when you cut it down, you end up with these two little strips here. So I cut each side off, and then I end up with this in the middle. What I do is I cut that down to a 1-inch strip, and voila, that's gonna be right where my ribbon goes. And I'm going to, I'm gonna have to show that again at full force, like the whole thing. But look at that. So I'm gonna put that across there. It's almost gonna look like it's another piece of ribbon. I'm gonna take this soft suede, or not soft suede, Early Espresso ribbon. Some of you in your Fall Fest packets will have gold. So I had to do a little combination because the gold ribbon was on back order too. And so, of course, when you pick the most popular thing in the catalog, what can you expect? Of course, it's gonna go on back order. And see, there's the Scotch tape again. Let's slide this piece under here. I made the pieces fairly generous, so you have no problem tying this little knot. Okay, just tie it nice and snug to the left side of your card. Use your ribbon scissors to snip off the edges to the size of your liking. And now we can adhere this part to our card base, and then we just have a touch of stamping to do. And then we'll be finished up with all 10 cards from Fall Fest 2021 with Stamp and Scrap with Tammy. I hope that you have just really enjoyed the cards that we created. Whether you're just watching along for the fun of it to check out what this Fall Fest and the upcoming Spring Fest that we'll be having. We'll be working with spring cards and cheerful, fun new products at that time. But that's a ways out. But so this way you get an idea when that pops up of what that's all about. So if you are just watching along and you didn't participate in Fall Fest this year, feel free to go down in the comments, and right in that first comment is the option to subscribe to my, what I call the VIP list. That's where all my current events get posted. I send a tutorial every single Tuesday with different card making ideas. And then when I have events going on, they're also sent out through that list as well. So I would love to have you part of that list. It's a free list to be part of. There's no obligation. So if you just want to hit up the list to get that free tutorial Tuesday, you are absolutely welcome to do that. When you do subscribe to my email list, you do get this lovely little template for all those little tiny measurements. So if you're like me, I struggle with measurements and those eighths and fourths and sixteenths and so on and so forth. So I created a little guide for me so I know what I'm talking about when I work with those smaller measurements. And that gets emailed to you after you subscribe to the email list. All right, straight up, straight down with our With Deepest Sympathy stamp. Again, like I said, this is a great all occasions stamp set to go with, and card design. Do as I say, not as I do. I want to put an inside sentiment in this one. Thinking of you with all my heart. I definitely should not have adhered this piece prior to stamping, but I did, so we're going to just be really careful. I'm using Blackberry Bliss ink, and I tell you, you know, that is the one ink I think is the messiest for me, is Blackberry Bliss. I mean, you can see right there. That is one that no matter what I do, I tend to get it everywhere. But I am done with the stamping for today. So now with that cut apart piece, I'm going to do basically the same as I did with that last card with the, what is that called? Bedazzling paper, where I put the adhesive onto the piece that is going to be adhered to the other. So now I'm just going to go like so. I'm going to line it up just so a little bit is sneaking out of the edge. Oh. Let's push that down a little bit more firm. And then same on this side. And there'll be a gap in the middle, but that's intended. You don't really even notice that after you get it all together. And then we'll adhere this to the front of the card with dimensionals. I'll pull back in all of the cards so you can just see them all together in one beautiful display before I finish up for the day. All right, so down in the comments again is the option to subscribe to the email list, as well as an ordering option if you want celebration continued through October 2021. If you're watching later than that, of course, you can always contact me or click that link and order for, there's always a current ordering offer from Stamp and Scrap with Tammy. So you're welcome to watch this months and if not even years from now. So some of the, if you're watching this, you know, and it's, let's say just 2024, who knows when it is. You know, these are still very valid designs, even if the stamp sets aren't current anymore. So lots and lots of beauty in the cards that were created today. This is by far the longest video I have ever done. Maybe not the longest, but the most projects I have done in a video. So let's go ahead and pull all of these cards in today. Card number 10. We're going to go backwards. So we'll go 10 down if I put them in the right order as I put them away. So we have got card number 10. We have card number 9. Card number 8. I'm going to try to keep these on screen for you. It looks like I can move over just a little bit. So card number 8. We've got 7. Oh, beautiful birthday card. And this one can be birthday, or you can make it a thank you. And so where are we at? Good thing I have labels. Card number 6. Card number 7. Those beautiful Christmas cards that you can make lots and lots of them with just a nice simple stamping card. This now a little more intricate, case from the catalog. Card number 4. And we have card number 3, this fun fold. Oh, let's fold it up the right direction. And card number 3, I think. Nope, we're at 2. This was 3. This was card number 2. I'm just impressed that I was able to pull this off and get these all done without too much of a disaster here going on. I think it was actually rather successful. And I actually, looking around, don't have that big of a mess either. And card number 1 to finish things off. So how about that display of cards for Fall Fest 2021? All right, everybody, I am absolutely looking forward to sharing more with you on my Stamp and Scrap with Tammy YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe. I would truly appreciate that. We will be back, though, with, if you like this concept of cards, I will be back with Spring Fest. It is March 26th for the live option. The kits to go and the videos will post the week after the live event. And then, of course, we will be back with Fall Fest. Gosh, it'll be 2022 when we do it again. Of course, I have not... Sorry about that. I had a little pause there. So I'm ending it here. So I just want to say again, thank you so much for watching today. Thank you to those who took part in Fall Fest. Thank you to those that are watching for the first time or just popping in to seeing what it's all about if you were curious of what Fall Fest and what the upcoming Spring Fest is going to be about. Have a great day. Feel free anytime to contact me if you have questions about classes, events, or ordering. Have a good day. Bye-bye.